With these can-do videos, you'll see real-life situations where you have to introduce yourself, talk about your family, or give your contact information. So, by the end, you can do them yourself in Japanese. This video is a small portion of our can-do course. To get the full course, including translations, grammar tools, and assessment tests, click the link in the description. Welcome to Can-Do Japanese by JapanesePod101.com.
皆さんこんにちは、Kano Kana です。Hi everyone, I'm Kana Kano. In this lesson, you learn how to talk about your family from a parent's perspective.
This is Karen Lee, and she's studying with her Japanese teacher, Tomoko Tanaka. The teacher notices a picture on Karen's computer and asks, "Is this your family?"
リーさんの家族ですか?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the response.
リーさんの家族ですか?
はい、夫と息子と娘と私です。
Once more with the English translation.
リーさんの家族ですか?
Is this your family?
はい、夫と息子と娘と私です。
Yes, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me. Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how the teacher asks, "Is this your family?"
リーさんの家族ですか?
First is
リーさん、
Miss Lee.
リーさん、
This starts with Karen's family name, Lee. In Japanese,
リー、リー、リー、
after this is
さん、
a polite suffix attached to a person's name.
さん、さん。
This suffix can be used with any gender and translates as Miss in Karen's case. Together it's
リーさん、
Miss Lee.
リーさん
Next is the particle
の、
the possessive marking particle.
の、
Think of
の、
as a way to indicate possession, like the apostrophe S in Karen's family. The word it follows possesses the thing that comes after it. In this sentence, it marks
リーさん、
Miss Lee as the possessor. Together
リーさんの、
is Miss Lee's.
リーさんの、
After this is
家族、
family.
家族、家族、
Together
リーさんの家族、
literally means Miss Lee's family,
リーさんの家族。
but it translates as your family. In Japanese, it's more common and polite to address a person by their name and polite suffix rather than directly with words like you or your. Next is
です。
in this case, it's like the is in Is this your family?
です。です。
Last is the particle
か、
the question marking particle. This turns the sentence into a question.
か、
Altogether, it's
リーさんの家族ですか?
This literally means Miss Lee's family, this is. But it translates as, Is this your family?
リーさんの家族ですか?
Note that this is understood from the context of the conversation, as the teacher is pointing at the picture when she asks the question.
リーさんの家族ですか?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Karen says, "Yes, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me"?
はい、夫と息子と娘と私です。
There are two parts to the response. The first part is
はい、
meaning yes.
はい、はい。
It answers the teacher's yes or no question. Is this your family?
リーさんの家族ですか?
In the second part, Karen lists the different members of her family while pointing at each family member.
夫と息子と娘と私です。
This is my husband, son, daughter, and me.
夫と息子と娘と私です。
First is
夫、
literally husband, but translates as my husband.
夫、夫、
Note, the my is understood from context. Next is the particle
と、
meaning and in this context.
と、息子、
Son,
む、す、こ、息子、
after this,
と、
and
と、娘、
daughter,
む、す、め、娘、
again,
と、
and,
と、私、
translates as me in this context.
わたし、私
Last is,
です。
in this case, it's like the is in this is my husband. It's a linking verb.
です。
Altogether, it's
夫と息子と娘と私です。
this literally means husband and son and daughter and me. This is. But it translates as this is my husband, son, daughter, and me. Note, this is understood from context and refers to the group of family members in the photograph Karen and Tomoko are looking at. Notice this Japanese sentence doesn't include a specific word that means my, like in English. Instead, it is understood through context. Again,
夫と息子と娘と私です。
the pattern is
My family member word と My family member word と My family member word と私です。
my family member word and my family member word and my family member word and me. Note the particle
と
follows each family member. This is an important pattern for your task. To use this pattern, simply replace the family member placeholders with members of your family. Imagine your family members are your wife, your son, your daughter, and you.
妻
Wife.
つま妻
Say, this is my wife, son, daughter, and me. Ready?
妻と息子と娘と私です。
My wife, son, daughter, and me.
妻と息子と娘と私です。
When talking about your own husband or wife, use the words 夫 husband and 妻 wife. However, When referring to another person's husband or wife, use the following words. 旦那さん husband, 旦那さん奥さん wife, 奥さん In addition, when referring to someone else's son or daughter, 息子さん son, 息子さん娘さん daughter, 娘さん Note the suffix "san" attached to each word. You should be aware of these terms referring to other people's family members, but you won't need them for this lesson.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
夫と息子と娘と私です。夫と息子と娘と私です。
妻と息子と娘と私です。妻と息子と娘と私です。
妻と娘と私です。妻と娘と私です。
夫と息子と私です。夫と息子と私です。
夫と息子二人と私です。夫と息子二人と私です。
Did you notice how the last speaker indicates that she has two sons?
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
夫と息子二人と私です。
This is my husband, 2 sons, and me.
息子二人、
2 sons.
息子二人、
First is
息子、
son.
息子、
Next is
二人、
meaning 2 people.
ふたり、二人、
Together
息子二人、
literally means son, 2 people, but it translates as 2 sons.
息子二人、
Note, the Japanese word for son
息子、
doesn't change as most Japanese nouns do not have plural forms. Instead, when talking about the number of something, the noun
息子、
is followed by a number and counter. In this case,
二人、
to say 2 daughters,
娘二人、
2 daughters.
娘二人。
You should be aware of this pattern, but you will not need it for this lesson.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say me? 私 私 and how to say and と と Do you remember the word for daughter? 娘 娘 and the word for son. 息子、息子。Do you remember how Karen says, my husband? 夫、夫。And how to say, yes. はい、はい。Do you remember how Karen says, this is my husband, son, daughter, and me?
夫と息子と娘と私です。
夫と息子と娘と私です。Do you remember how to say family? 家族、家族。And how the teacher addresses Karen? Hint, she uses her last name, Lee. リーさん、リーさん。Do you remember how the teacher says, Miss Lee's family? リーさんの家族、リーさんの家族。Do you remember how the teacher asks, is this your family?
リーさんの家族ですか？
リーさんの家族ですか？ Do you remember the word for wife? 妻、妻。
Let's practice. Imagine you're Mark's colleague, Yoshi Nakamura. You have a wife and a daughter. Respond to Mark's question referring to the photo. Don't forget to include the word for yes at the beginning of your response. Ready?
中村さんの家族ですか？
はい、妻と娘と私です。
Listen again and repeat.
はい、妻と娘と私です。はい、妻と娘と私です。
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mark's boss, Noriko Nagaoka. You have a husband, a daughter, and a son. Ready?
長岡さんの家族ですか？
はい。夫と娘と息子と私です。
Listen again and repeat.
はい。夫と娘と息子と私です。はい。夫と娘と息子と私です。
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Mark's friend, Yoshimi Yamaguchi. You have a husband and a son. Ready?
山口さんの家族ですか？
はい、夫と息子と私です。
Listen again and repeat.
はい、夫と息子と私です。はい、夫と息子と私です。
This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to talk about your family in Japanese. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.